put this anting-anting just in case the pinading of this area might not like what we are saying here. And second, agnos bleed tayo dito eh. So nga masapol to iti manuscript basit. Mangeg ti Saudita, ayan yun. Okay. Umuna-una ipagyamanak apo MC. Iti panangi ayabyo kadatayo. Yan kastamet ni Justice for giving a justice introduction.
Hindi ka parang matigaw, tinahan diyan.
Kat umuna-unay, greetings to all the delegations, officers, and coordinators representing the various tribes and sub-tribes of Igorotan from all over British Columbia and the United States here assembled. Greetings and congratulations for a job well done to the BIBAK officers and task force for their tremendous effort in staging this Canao after some years of hibernation due to the pandemic. And greetings and felicitations to our valued guests. I was informed that one of the former staff of the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples, Ms. Arboleda, is with us.
Thank you.
And likewise, the city official dom of Burnaby, if you are here, please feel that you are welcome. Greetings to our friends, solidarity partners, and supporters. Ladies and gentlemen, naimbag nga daw tayo amin, ngawan labas na. Yes, as was mentioned a while ago, we recognize, acknowledge, and pay our respect to the first people of this land, especially those who had become pinadings or guardian spirits of Fortier Park and Burnaby City. We enjoin you to participate in this Canao, as this Canao is also your Canao. Brothers and sisters, our theme for this year is keeping the Igorot tradition thriving in British Columbia by way of the celebration of the 31st anniversary of BIBAK and a Grand Canao. Other tribes and sub-tribes call it Songa, or Honga, or Kodag, or Palanus, or Amung, or Bagnas. The Canao refers, thank you by the way, Justice, for mentioning about Canao, so I don't need to expound on this. The Canao refers to the various traditional cultural ritual ceremonies, such as social, religious, economic, political, celebrating every aspect of Igorot life. There's the Canao for the celebration for the birth of a child, and Canao for weddings and marriages, Canao for the healing of the sick, Canao for the departed, death, burial, and commemorations. Likewise, Canao for anniversaries, such as we are celebrating today. Canao for get-together and reunions. Canao to honor guests. Canao for Thanksgiving, for bountiful harvest, and for celebration of a success or worthy accomplishment, may it be an elective position in government or completion of a course or profession. Canao for the establishment of budong or peace pacts. to promote intertribal, inter-village peace, harmony, unity, and solidarity. Every Canao celebration is accompanied or highlighted by the corresponding and appropriate animal sacrifice, religious rituals, chants, music, songs, gong playing, and dances, as well as display of colorful attires and costumes. Back home, Canao takes the form of big festival celebrations, such as the Adivay of Benguet, the Gotad of Ifugao, Langay of Mountain Province, Ulalim or Awong Jigangsa of Kalinga, Sayam of Apayao, Arya of Abra. There are municipal, city, and sub-tribal Canao festival celebrations as well, like the Dangtay of Sagada, the Daguyo of Majukayong, the Sasaliwa of the Balangaws, the Mataguan of Tabuk City, Imbaya of Banawi, Kakarefin of Paracelis, and the Panagbunga of Baguio City. The Canao ceremonies are among the age-old traditions and cultural practices of the Igorots, which includes the material, economic culture, religion, and spirituality, political institutions, literature and arts, which directly points to our roots and defines or reveals our absolute and unique identity as indigenous peoples. Every indigenous peoples trace their roots somewhere and have their unique identity, which makes them especially different. We Igorots have our own roots and identity, and we are proud of it. We stand alongside the over 14 to 17 million indigenous peoples grouped in at least 110 tribes and sub-tribes or ethno-linguistic groups in the Philippines. We Igorots, consisting of at least 6 major tribes and 15 sub-tribes, inhabits the Grand Cordillera Central and part of the Caraballo Mountain ranges. The Manobos, Mandayas, Mangyans, Mamanwas, and many other groups are scattered in the islands of the Visayas. And the Lumads dominates Mindanao in southern Philippines. Para sa ating unang kaalaman, a little of what the Igorots are. We Igorots have a rich, pleasant, and sometimes unpleasant history. Igorot
history.
is derived from the Tagalog word Igulod, which simply means people from the mountains. And it is used collectively to refer to all the people from the mountains region. It is used to refer to the people also in the mountains of Sierra Madre, even in Bulacan and Rizal and Quezon. However, in this course of history, it solely refers to the people of the Cordillera and parts of the Caraballo Mountain ranges only. In the Malay language, orang-utan means people of the forest or mountains. I don't know to you, but I would prefer to be called Igorot rather than orang-utan. Nangamong kayo.
Tamang kayo na.
There should be no quarrel about our collective identity as Igorot. It does not diminish our being Kankanay, Ibaloy, Ifugao, Kalinga, Tingyan, Balangaw, Gaddang or Ibaliwon, Bongtoks, Majukayong, Isnag or Isneg or Ibanao. It is true, and there's no doubt about it, that we are the people who inhabits the mountain sides, hillsides, the valleys, the plateaus, the banks of downstream rivers, and also the mestizos of all these groups. The Igorots are a hardy people, live as organized communities in defined territories called ancestral domain since time immemorial. And they have retained all their social, economic, cultural, and political institutions. It is on account of our ancestors' persistent resistance to the colonial domination and control that they earn for themselves the names like Los Enemigos de Estado, the savages, the headhunters, and civilized pagans. But even with the establishment of a Philippine government by the Americans and later passed on to the natives, the Igorots were grouped among the other indigenous peoples and are called non-Christian tribes in the Philippines and cultural minorities, in difference to the Christian and cultural majority, those who were assimilated by the imperial conquistadores. Then came the identification as tribal Filipinos, in difference to the mainstream Filipinos. Finally came the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples, which grouped all tribal Filipinos as indigenous peoples. The Indigenous Peoples' Right Act of 1997, which is Republic Act 8371, a law which recognizes and promotes the rights of indigenous peoples in the Philippines. After 25 long years, however, since it was enacted, a single implementing law is yet to be enacted by the oligarchic and elitist Philippine Congress. Adverse land, mining, and logging laws inimical to the interests of the indigenous peoples have never been abrogated and are still in effect to this day. The struggle for the recognition of indigenous peoples' rights and respect is still being fought for. Listen to the anthems of the Cordillera provinces. They are not only extolling the beauty of the provinces and the beautiful character of the people, but also a call for action and a subtle expression of our lamentation and aspiration for recognition and respect. The beauty and strength of an Igorot is always a survivor and is always a winner. It is fitting that we are now celebrating our anniversary with a grand Canao. It is a grand Canao of Thanksgiving as the pandemic seemed to have simmered down. It is an opportune time to meet our tribesmen, renew acquaintances, stretch our feet, our legs, flex our hands in our cultural dances, sing our songs, wear our colorful costumes, eat our food and pastries, drink our fermented basi and tapoy. But reminder to the drivers tonight, to keep our tradition thriving in British Columbia nowadays, I think, is a daunting challenge. In our indigenous communities of origin back home in the Philippines, there should be no problem, as traditions and cultural practices are regularly and frequently observed. Everyone, especially the young people, are encouraged to attend and participate. So there's a continuous school to keep the traditions and cultural practices thriving and going. In our present context, being in a foreign land, traditional cultural practices are not done regularly, and if ever, they come far in between. We need to be deliberate and innovative, therefore. We celebrate any appropriate ceremony or ritual, even with the slightest opportunity. nga kanayon tayo kumang ag-among uray no basit nga rason. If I may, I wish to suggest the following. Number one, there certainly is a need to be deliberate and innovative in organizing and consolidating our groups as sub-tribes, as clans, and eventually as a tribe, and eventually as one group, either BIBAK or BIBAKA or BIMAK.
Bima.
Excuse me. The present leadership and those who are following must look at this very seriously. Second, a good number of us, thank you very much. Uray no may sa Tibet, ano kasta?
Tagalog si Father Wandag.
A good number of us are OFW who come and go. But a good number of us also are not. Some are permanent residents and are citizens. But whether permanent residents or citizens, our identity as an Igorot is not diminished or removed. We need them to reach out, teach our younger generations our Igorot history, literature and arts, cultural belief practices, spirituality and ritual ceremonies. Time will come when the older generation are gone, but the younger generations are here to continue. But how will they continue if we have not imparted anything to them? Well, just imagine what would happen to our younger generations when they would lose their identity. Your guess is good as mine. We must learn and teach our one another the various traditional gong playing. Nagadungay style ti paluk, palangbang, turayan, hinapor, ganuar, pinawangwang, the tontak of Baliwan. Excuse me. The tupaya. There are many versions of these. The takik, the tayaw, pinanyuan, bugi, and the corresponding dances. Taduk, the salitsi, the halip, vinurog at ajumba, the festival war dance, as these are our identifying mark as Igorot. We must learn and teach one another the various traditional bamboo and wind musical instruments. I was looking at some of them at the Kalinga booth. No? Di tungatong, tsumadyong, tubong, tabatap, balingbing, tagaypo, kulitong, onnat, or awitching, the so-called Joe's harp, the baradong and tungali, mouth and nose flutes. We must learn and teach the Igorot songs, salidumais, ugayams, liw-liwa, sogsog na ulalim, hud-hud and alim, and chants, so that our younger generation would not be too much overtaken by our pop music. I believe there are agencies like the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples and the NCAA and agencies here in Canada as well, which are interested in the preservation of the living tradition. By the way, in 1904, there was the World Exposition in St. Louis, Missouri. Several tribes in the Philippines, about something like 1,200 of them, were invited. The Yukons of northern Canada were invited to showcase some of their traditional culture. But of all these tribal groups, the important and the most popular group were the Igorots. Read the articles. No? Because, you know why? The site upon which they built their communities was called Dogtown, even to this day. You read the articles. And the media have projected them, that's why they become very popular, as the savages and dog-eating tribe in the Philippines.
Oh, yeah. Agpaiso.
So there were those enterprising merchants or businessmen. Instead of selling frankfurters and German sausages, they use a different marketing name, hot dog, and it still exists today. My friends, I was smiling to myself, and I just shared it to Manong Cesar Castro. Ay aputi aso ayaw sumurusurot kada tayo. I found out that we are meeting today in the foreshore dog park.
Yeah. Hopefully,
I wish we are not making history again. But you know, we are one of the richest and colorful in terms of tradition and culture of Pacrites. If we are able to do these things, then we shall be assured that our Igorot culture tradition shall thrive here in British Columbia and elsewhere. Agbyag ti kaigurutan! Agbyag ti Benge!
Agbyag!
Agbyag ti Montanyusa! Agbyag ti Fugao! Agbyag ti Kalinga! Agbyag ti Abrak and Bago! Agbyag ti Bayaw! Agbyag ti Cordillera!
Agbyag!
Thank you po. Pagyaman ako.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Right
Father.
Reverend.
Can we ask someone to please help us move the table?
Can you please stay, Father?
Father, please stay. Thank you very much, Father, for that inspirational message and lecture. At the same time, I hope you guys are listening. We will have a quiz later on. There is a grand prize if you win the quiz. Anyway, we would like to present this certificate of appreciation. Father, let's move to the stage, please. This certificate of appreciation is awarded to the Right Reverend Father Alexander Wandag in grateful acknowledgement of his distinguished and invaluable service rendered as guest of honor and speaker during the BIBAK BC Grand Canao with the theme Keeping the Igorot Tradition Thriving in British Columbia, thereby contributing to the prestige success of the occasion. Given this 13th day of August 2022 at Burnaby Foreshore Park, signed by the President of BIBAK, Arnold De Luyon, and the first Vice President, Oscar Albert Martin. Thank you very much, Father, once again. Abay nga ko natin palakpak yun. Kasi nga kayo nga nag-breakfast.
No, the reason why
Why?
they're thinking so much of the educational information that was given to us by Bishop. That's why. Anyway, before we move on, just a reminder, I know there are already, the judges for the booth are already here. So if you haven't gotten your package for the judging, the package are on this side. Just look for the ladies over in the kitchen area.